It's Thursday. It's not Red Friday yet. We're going to have a show for you tomorrow that's going to be kind of fun. What we have to do today is take a look at where the roster is at this point in the season and one particular position that has changed, 6 or 8 different ways from Sunday from the last time we talked about a team playing a ball game. We're going to get into it all here on Locked On Chiefs.
It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back. This is going to be fun. It's been a long time coming. We're going to take stock of where this roster is on both sides of the ball and see what we are really looking for in this first preseason game. That's going to come tomorrow. Got to look at who's where. And that's something that's changing on the Chiefs roster right now. Got a little bit of an update on Tuesday evening that we didn't get a chance to talk about yesterday with Matt. We'd seen it, right? A hand in a cast walking around training camp is never a good sign, right?
No, it's not. And LDT is out 4 to 6 weeks with a broken bone in his hand. So that's not surprising because, like Ryan just said, we had already seen the cast, knew something was going on, didn't know how long he'd be out. Honestly, I think that this basically slates him as a backup at best.
That's exactly where I was going. And it made me instantly think, okay, listen, you had Kyle Long, who was getting the reps in OTAs. You had LDT come back from minicamp, and now obviously with the experience level, thought to be competing, hadn't quite caught up. Don't know if he was going to. But clearly at this point, this is Trey Smith's job.
Yep.
And so now the question for me becomes, I had thought maybe they'd let him go, 3 series, quarter, whichever came first kind of thing in the first preseason game for the starters, right? I thought they might let he and Creed play a little bit longer, get a few more reps against some twos, maybe get something that obviously the level of competition will dip a little bit. They can get some frustration out, get some confidence built up. At this point, I don't think you can do that. Yeah, absolutely. At this point, I don't know that you can do that, especially with Trey Smith being the only guy that you can think that you want starting. I mean, Wiley could go in there, but do you let him play, or do you rank him the same time as Pat Mahomes?
Yeah, Blythe, I think could go in there probably. They just signed Witzman. Obviously, you don't want him playing very much, but they know him, so at least they have that familiarity there. I agree with you, though. I think that they were probably going to want to have them to play, and I honestly, it wouldn't shock me if they had them play a couple of, a series at least past Patrick Mahomes. Although it almost seemed like I heard that maybe Mahomes isn't going to be playing this week.
Oh, I hope so. It
seemed like something I read would talk about Chad Henne leading the team, and I'm like, okay, well, what about Patrick? And honestly, I guess, in my mind, I would hope that he would play this week just to get some of the rust off and to, get into game rhythm at least a little bit, play a series or two. But I don't expect that there would be much more other than that. Now, a couple of other notes that we need to talk about really quick. Mahomes is also now a new investor in something else.
Oh, what did I miss now? Good Lord.
Whataburger.
Okay.
KMO LLC is bringing 30 Whataburgers to the Kansas and Missouri area, and one of those places is Wichita. So thank you, Patrick Mahomes. I just mentioned it because I think it's just fascinating. He seems to be getting his hands in everything. We don't really need to talk about it other than that. But the other big news that I did see that broke on Tuesday night was the NFL stated that they are doing the same thing they did last year when it comes to the IR, and you have unlimited ability to bring back. That's huge. I can't emphasize how big that is.
It makes a world of difference. And evidently, I haven't seen anything about keeping the practice squads expanded. I would like to see that a 16-team practice squad works for me. I don't know if that's going to happen at this point. We'll find out here. Honestly, pretty shortly, I have to think. But that IR makes a big difference all the way around, particularly in the Chiefs' case here, because I think
the key on that, though, just to clarify, the key is you have to be on the active roster past final cutdowns,
right,
in order to be able to come back. So for LDT, for example, if they think it's going to be 8 weeks instead of 4, maybe he gets he has to be on the active roster, but then they could actually put him on IR the day after, and that is how he's able to come back.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that because that's an important note.
It is, and that allows them. They've done that in the past, and
Yep.
allows them the back and forth. I think Kyle Long ends up on the PUP to begin the season, so I think that option is there as well. That's obviously a different thing, but it also emphasizes that you have to have a starter and you have to have a backup at the right guard spot. I think probably my gut would be Wiley, but at this point, we'll find out when they play on Saturday. We'll have a little bit more clarity. And I think at this point, I'm guessing that he plays the same as Patrick, comes out with the starters as though he's one of them, and just, don't push the number of reps.
I'm not sure we're going to have a ton of clarity, honestly.
Okay.
And the reason I'm saying that is because, you can go look at the depth chart and you can kind of get an idea there. Yes, it's unofficial. But the other thing you have to really consider is that if they think Wiley is going to play tackle at all, he's probably going to be playing tackle and not guard.
Well, that feeds into what you're trying to do with Andrew Wiley. If you're trying to shop him, he's going to get snaps at both.
Possibly, yeah. It's really going to depend. The big thing, though, is he going to have the ability to play both in that game unless he goes into – because I don't think you really want to play in that deep into the game.
Yeah, probably not. I think it is about the depth chart and what else they have to see, and I think we'll get into that here in a minute because they have so many things to try to evaluate. They have to be able to put it all together and have it in one place, just like you do when you have to buy parts for your car or truck. And rockauto.com is a place that you can do that. They have their full catalog that you can put into a cart and get it all sent to you, and you don't have to go to a brick and mortar school. You don't or store, that is, not a school. Let's not shop for auto parts at a school. But you don't have to spend the extra 50 or 100% there. You can get it all done at Rock Auto because they're a family business and they've been doing this for 20 years. They're reliably low for every customer, whatever your walk of life, whether you ramble on in an ad for no reason or you actually fix cars for all a living. That's good. You just go to the website, you put in there, how did you hear about us box that you heard it at Locked On, and that will help them know what we sent you over there. Rock Auto, amazing selection, reliably low prices, and all the car parts or truck parts you're ever going to need. rockauto.com. I think we should start on the offense. I don't say that very often, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be the best place to start. We're going to do a roster breakdown. We haven't really discussed that, but that's what we're going to be getting into here and where we think people are currently on the roster. So that's what we're starting with. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start on the offensive line? Do you want to start with QBs?
Let's come back to the line. That's going to get mucky.
Yes, it is. So
QBs are easy.
You're going to take the easy way out.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
There's Patrick and there's Chad. Done.
Okay. I'm with you on that. So there's two. Running backs.
Clyde Darrell, Jarek, Mike Burton. And yes, folks, Mike Burton will be on this roster. There will be a fullback.
I would agree with you. I think there's going to be four. I reserve a right to come back and add Darwin Thompson later.
Okay.
But I do think that it's going to be very tough with the different numbers you're going to have at other positions. So I'm sitting here looking at the depth chart. Do you want to go wide receiver or do you want to go tight ends?
Is there a difference?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Except for Blake Bell, all the tight ends are wide receivers, basically, right? They just grew up a little bit.
I see what you did there. I was like, no, wait a second, what? No, I mean, you're pretty much right in that regard. The one thing I will say is I find it interesting that they have Blake Bell listed as a second team tight end, which is not what we've seen in practice.
No.
Noah Gray is, in my opinion, easily the second tight end. So let's go with tight ends. How many are they keeping and who?
Okay, so we're aiming it, to clarify, we're aiming for a 53-man roster, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I think you can only keep 3. I think, honestly, in my scenario, I think maybe you only keep 2 and both the other guys go to practice squad. You call somebody up if you have to. Because as I understand the rules, this year, you have the 2 call-ups each game. So you can get to 55 total.
True, and I would have to look for clarity whether or not Blake Bell would qualify for the practice squad this year. Because I know that was – okay, well, I knew that was an exception last year. I didn't know if that got extended. So
as I understand it, we don't have the official rules yet, folks, but that's kind of what we're operating on. But let's just go with 3 for sake of not messing it up.
Okay, fair enough. So who are your 3?
Oh, Blake, Noah, and that guy named Kelsey.
Oh, is it Kelsey or
Kels.
Kels?
Sorry, Kels. And maybe if I'm Eric Stone Street, I could call him Kels. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. I think you are looking at probably 3 tight ends. I do think that they keep 3 on the roster. I would not be shocked if it's Travis Kelsey, Blake Bell, and Noah Gray. As of right now, and I'm going to say it because we haven't seen a game yet.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the differentiating key for me. When we start seeing them play on the field, can Jody Fortson do enough? Does he get any time with the ones? That's the other big question. If he gets times with the ones and is able to do something, then that means something. So for me, it's Kelsey, Bell, and Gray for right now.
Yeah, and I think that's a key thing because I don't think you can go by the number of snaps because he and Noah Gray should get the most number of snaps, period. So that would mean that Jody's going to get quite a number, probably the whole second half is my guess.
But the bigger key for him, honestly, is special teams. Is he one of the first guys off or on the field for special teams?
Yeah. It'd be an indication, that's for sure. And the only reason that I didn't include him here is because I really do feel that they can use, with the veteran rules, they can use the practice squad to kind of hone the roster every week, depending on matchup, whether you want Blake to run the ball or you want another pass catching option. I think that may be somebody that they just go back and forth with the practice squad all year.
Okay, well, in that case, you're wrong on the rules a bit because you only can call up the same person 2 weeks.
Oh, I thought it had. Oh, okay, you're right. Yep, fair enough.
Because that was an issue with Marcus Kemp last year.
Right, he ran out of call-ups. You're right.
Right, and so he went to Miami, and he's back this year. And we will talk about Kemp here in a minute, but so I understand where you're going, but I don't think that they can actually do it that way. So to me, I still think it's going to be 3 on the roster. So right now we're at 2 QBs, 4 running backs, 3 tight ends, and
a partridge in a pear tree.
Exactly. You got where I was going with that. Okay, so what are we at? 9?
1,700 by my count.
Yeah, well, you count just as well as you spell.
Well, and now here's the 20-person position group in the wide receivers.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 4. There's 4. Take them out. They'll play what? Maybe a quarter, maybe not. Hill, Hardman, Robinson, Pringle.
Yep.
I think Powell is the next one off the bench because they have to find out what they have in him before they start to whittle down against the veterans. I think they keep 6, is my thought.
Agreed.
So
who's your 6th?
Kemp right now.
Yep.
Unless Fountain or Callaway can do something to prove that they can bring something to special teams and be an option in the pass game.
Well, they have to bring something great to special teams because Kemp is a special teams ace, in my opinion. So I think that they're going to keep 6, and I think Marcus Kemp and Powell are your 5 and 6, and the other 4 are the easy ones. So that gets you at 15. So now you have 10 spaces for offensive linemen if you want to go that way and keep it at 25, or you could go with 9.
No. I mean, they brought in all this talent. We thought they had a wall, and now all of a sudden they're down a couple of guys. If they do that a couple of guys more, and they're in trouble. So 10 is my number.
Okay, fair enough. And really quick, before we get there, Darrell Williams did return to practice off the COVID list.
Yep.
So not exactly sure what happened there, but that's interesting, and I hope we get more clarification on how that worked. But I did want to mention that because he should be able to play in this game.
So more importantly, when my other brother Darrell came back from the practice, from the not COVID list, but from the injury list. So.
That's true. Your other brother Darrell.
Yeah.
Okay. Darrell Williams, and they're spelled differently. All right, 5 starters: Brown, Tooney, Humphrey, Smith, and right now Niang.
Mm-hmm. Remmers, Wiley, Allegretti, Blythe, and who's taking the backups? I think LDT is on it for one day, like you said, and then probably goes to the IR. So who do you bring in after that? Who's the 10th lineman on this roster right now? I don't know that it can be Prince until I see him in the preseason. So maybe
I'd
that
say
changes.
Durant or Williams.
You would? Okay.
That would be my guess. I think you're right. I think LDT is going to be your 10th for right now, and he may end up being sent to IR. Kyle Long, we're not talking about because Kyle Long, I agree with you. I think he'll end up on the PUP list. So that would give you, and you can do that before.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you. I think that's probably where you're looking. And honestly, I guess this is the one thing I will say. Rimmer's is starting to actually move and actually show up to practice and kind of do stuff on the sidelines. So it sounds like he's getting close. The interesting thing about the depth chart is Lucas Niang is the starting right tackle. Rimmer's is listed as the backup left tackle. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is PR making the list. So
That's true.
We don't know exactly what that means. Playing time will tell the tale.
That's true too.
Telling the tale is what will get you your opportunity to make bets, and you can do that at betonline.ag, the fastest, easiest way to get your money in the action in this football season. And it's just nice to be able to say that. I just want to put that out there. You can do other sports. I know they exist. I just don't care about them. Before the next pitch, head over. Before the next pass, head over. Whatever you got to do, get to betonline.ag for the sign-up bonuses, the sporting news, everything that you need to put your action where it needs to be. Don't sit on the sidelines anymore. This is your opportunity, your chance to get into the game. Head to the website right now. And if you use our promo code Locked On, you get 50% on your bonus deposit. That's your deposit plus half of another one just for you at betonline.ag, your sportsbook experts.
Okay, I have to ask one question really quick. The last 5 offensive linemen, do you think they are open to trading any of them?
I think the door is closed on trading Wiley right now.
Okay. I can't say I disagree with you considering all the injuries to the guard position.
Yeah. I mean, if one of the other two, if LDT or Long does get back before final cutdowns, then maybe that opens the door there on cutdown day. But I think other than that, it's probably over.
Yep, I would agree. I wonder if Darwin Thompson has any trade value because I wouldn't think so, but if somebody wants him for a 7th, I would give him up for a 7th round pick.
Yeah, sure. Especially because you're going to cut him.
I would think so.
I mean, and I like Darwin, and good for him for putting in the extra work. My only thought is I think running the hills and doing the things that he's doing is for his next team.
Yep, I agree. Before we get into defense, 3 specialists, nothing really to talk about there. Tommy Townsend, Harrison Butker, and James Winchester.
Yeah, hair, leg, and snapper. Gotcha.
Yep, so that puts you at 28. 25 spots available.
Only 20. That's not enough. Let's break it down. Let's go D tackles.
Okay.
And I'm not putting Chris Jones in there. I say there's 5. I think you need to have 5. You need to be able to go inside out. And maybe that includes Deshaun Wharton. I'll probably leave him listed at tackle.
That's interesting to me. I don't see that they have 5 defensive tackles on the roster if you're not counting Chris Jones.
Okay.
So Jerron Reed, Derek Notting, Deshaun Wharton, and Colin Saunders.
Yeah, easily.
Who's going to be your 5th?
I was going to put Dana in there because he's been playing inside this last week, but leave it at Jones. Who cares? That's fine. We'll just do 10 for the D line. So there's your 4, as you mentioned. So does that mean you want 6 ends, quote unquote?
Yeah, I mean technically, I guess that's the way you put it.
Okay, so who are they in order?
In order?
Yes, please.
Oh man, that's not fun. Chris Jones, Frank Clark, Alex Okafor, Mike Dana, Tucker Charlton, and Kendo.
Okay, so you think that Okafor is going to be healthy? I'm guessing is how you feel about that.
I think he's going to be healthy enough to start the season. I don't know that he'll finish the season, and I have a hard time believing that Damone Harris is going to beat Alex Okafor out. Honestly, that's a position I would like them to look elsewhere because I don't know that I trust Okafor to be healthy.
That's my concern.
But that's the problem they have right now. There's not much else that they can do. I mean, I do think a guy like Tim Ward will end up on the practice squad. I think Damone Harris could wind up on the practice squad. So
I'm glad you bring up Harris. I think he's the one guy who might force a switch there. I'm concerned about Taco. I need to see something. I put a lot of faith in him making a step forward this year, and I know he's still working with some injury there, some pain in the knee. He's got to get there.
But here's the thing on Taco. He produced last year.
Mm-hmm.
They at least have an idea of what they have with him. They're not going to give up Taco Charlton for a guy like Damone Harris, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because Harris doesn't have the upside that Charlton does.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's fair.
So that's kind of where I'm coming on that one. So that puts us at 10. So that means we have 15 spots left. Do you want to go corner, safety, or linebacker?
Yes. Let's move front to back. Linebackers. How many do you keep?
Oh, man. I think you have to keep 5. Ooh, let's see. So we have 15 left. I think you're going to be struggling to keep 6. I just don't see how you keep only 5 corners or only 5 safeties or a combo of 10 DBs. I don't see how you do something less than that. So to me, it has to be Willie Gay, Anthony Hitchens, Nick Bolton, Ben Neiman. And then it's a question of, is Dorian O'Daniel good enough on special teams to get him to stick over Darius Harris?
I agree. And my guess would be yes, because I think you can have Harris on the practice squad. I don't think you're going to lose him.
I would agree with that. But I think you could say the same about O'Daniel.
Right. And that brings me to O'Daniel. I think the key is, do you keep the 6th linebacker or do you keep the 5th safety? That's what it comes down to me. I think that's the argument. Right now, I'm going to say the DOD does not make the active roster, and there's 5 linebackers.
And I would say that I agree with that because I think there's going to be an undrafted free safety or an undrafted safety on this team.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about that later. But honestly, and again, I need to specify, we're doing this looking at this before they played any games. This is subject to change. Oh, yeah. I will say, though, the top 45 are probably on the roster pretty much regardless, unless there's an injury. So
that puts us at 43. And so now it's the DBs.
Yep.
So what does your gut tell you right now? Is it 5-5? Is it 6-4?
Right now it's telling me 5-5.
Okay.
I think it could be 6-4, but right now it's telling me 5-5. Wards need Hughes, Fenton, and Baker.
Okay.
For the corners. Sorensen, Mathieu, Thornhill. And it's up in the air between Parks and Watts, honestly. But I'm pretty sure Devon Key is going to be on this roster.
Yeah, I agree. Right now, it looks like he is. Now, again, this is preseason game number 1. Right. So, I mean, I think that there's arguments to be made for Bo P. Keys and for DiCaprio Bootle from what we understand from practice. Can they make that impression in the game? Could that change whether it's a 5th safety or not? I think that could be one of the deciding factors. But this is where we see them now, as of today, before this game is played. Then we'll probably do this again next week after they get ready for the second preseason game.
And Bo P. Keys, honestly, from everything I had read, at least, had struggled the first part of camp.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like he's actually coming on. So maybe he's able to force his way onto this roster. But to me, unless he does it in games, it's not going to matter, and they can put him on the practice squad.
And that's really why this is the dividing line for me. This has been the grind of the players are tired of camp pretty close here. One of the toughest days, I think, is coming up here when they play that first preseason game. And then they still have to come back to camp. That's always a tough one. That's why I go when I go. But I also think that that's only halfway. If you are a developmental player, if you are not somebody that's slated for a starting role, everything's on the table, because this is when you can take the leap forward from actually playing games 1 to 3. It's tougher now because it's not 1 to 4, but 1 to 3 is where you can make that leap.
And and you don't have a chance to make a huge leap like you could in a preseason game number 4 with a good game. That's gone. So good luck. And honestly, if you really think about it, I understand why they got rid of preseason game number 4, but in a lot of ways, I think that's going to hurt the league long term. And I say that because most of the players that are going to play preseason game number 4 are developmental guys that aren't going to start and aren't going to get much action until there's injuries and they have to get action.
Right.
So
it's going to be interesting. We want to know who you guys think should be making this roster. Until the day when I get a 75-man roster with a 55-man active roster on game day, this is the way that it's going to be. Let us know who your favorite is, or maybe you think should be included in our 53 as we look at it pre-game 1. Leave your comments on YouTube, leave your reviews on iTunes. Get us the information we need from you. We want to know what you think, and that includes hitting us at Locked On Chiefs on Twitter as well. So,
which, by the way, we just hit our 5-year anniversary on Twitter.
Oh, congratulations. And I say that to you because you do all the work on our Twitter.
I just got that notification. I was like, oh, look at that. 5 years on Twitter.
I can barely spell my own name, folks. Chris does all the tweeting on Locked On Chiefs.
And we're almost at 11,000 followers, and we're getting close to 1,500 followers or subscribers on YouTube. So thank you for that. We do appreciate that. go subscribe and hit the notification bell.
Yeah.
Down below. down below. There you go.
Below him.
Down over there.
Yeah, there you go. And for those of you, if you're listening on the podcast platforms, every now and then, go check us out. It might be interesting to get the visuals sometimes. Maybe not every day. I don't look that great. You don't want to do that on purpose, but
I have to deal with it every day. So I mean,
yeah, he gets the pain. It's all right. But thank you for all the listens, for all the subscribers. We hope that you are ready. We'll have our preview of preseason game number 1 coming up here tomorrow. Hope that you guys enjoy your day. And we'll talk to you next time.